Many are there. We're going to record everyone's group. Thank you so much for that. Good? Yep. Okay. So my name is Katie Wysocki. I'm the director of the Career Enrichment Network here in the College of Liberal Arts. So today is how to find an internship, and we have 3 awesome student leaders in the college to share their experience, because it's always great to hear from someone just like you who made it happen and can tell stories and give advice and give you some perspective on what it looked like, right? I also have some helpful information in PowerPoint to talk a little bit about funding the internship too, because that's generally a question that comes up is, I want an internship, but I'm not sure if I could relocate. I'm not sure how to pay for housing. What does that look like? And the good news is that the College of Liberal Arts is very in tune with that, and we do have enrichment funding that can help support your experience, whether paid or unpaid, virtual or in person. So we can talk a little bit about that too. We only have 45 minutes, so I want you guys to truly be able to ask questions. Those online as well. Feel free to put in the chat or Q&A, leave a Q&A box. Lauren will be monitoring that. Lauren is the assistant director in the Career Enrichment Network, and we do life together, right? we do this together. So I can we trauma bonded. So our office is here to support you from first year to you walk across that stage, to help you find a great investment in your future career, whether it's grad school or a full-time position or fellowship, whatever that may be. So we have 5 career coaches in the Career Enrichment Network that can help you do it individually once you leave here and still have more questions, which is okay too. Okay. So we're starting with we're going to talk about what an internship is. We're going to hear great experiences from our students. We'll talk a little bit about enrichment funds. I have in-depth information on the slides to share out with you, but we don't have to go into that full depth today. Again, I want you to be able to ask your questions. So an internship, as defined by NACE, which is the National Association of Colleges and Employers, which is the professional organization we belong to as career professionals, is an internship is a form of experiential learning that integrates knowledge and theory learned in the classroom with practical application and skills development and professional work setting. So it is giving you that experience before you graduate. Number 1, figure out if you like it, right? So more than one internship is a good idea, because sometimes the worst experience can be the best experience because you've set your whole career that direction and you need to change your trajectory a little bit, right? An internship is also that opportunity, and many of our graduates are telling us everything needs 1 to 2 years of experience. That's where an internship falls into place. That's where leadership role on campus or part-time work on campus or volunteering can help you to gain experience and be competitive when you're looking for that next move. So we truly are invested in internships in the College of Liberal Arts. We know our students come from diverse backgrounds, are looking in diverse career sets going forward. A psychology student can do business-oriented careers or clinical psychology, right? And everything in between. So practical experience is really supportive of you getting to that next point. We're invested in knowing what skills employers are looking for, and these are already skills you're gaining within the classes of liberal arts. In all of your majors, you are in tune with problem solving and communication. As much as you don't want to give that speech, you don't want to write that paper, you are going to be stars in communication when you graduate, which sets you apart from other majors, other colleges, because you're invested in it. You work with teams because, as bad as those experiences can be, they're great for you to grow and develop as a leader, and be able to work with all type of people moving forward. So we like to just share this in the idea that good news is liberal arts students, you were invested, you are in tune with all of these skills already. We just can be helpful in getting that on paper and gaining that practical experience with all of these other classroom experiences, including study abroad, for sure. We're going to consider all these as we talk amongst our panelists, who I'm going to have introduced here in a second, but there's a lot of things for you to consider when looking at an internship. Is it feasible, right? Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Can you meet your basic needs with the location, with the salary? Can you move? Is it meeting your values? Is it a culture you want to belong to? And what his previous experience has been in that location. So we'll go over all these things outside of the PowerPoint, and we will share this. I'm going to stop sharing at this point. Can I just?
You just click the little content thingy. Yep, thank you, Kayla.
Stop sharing.
Yep.
Thank you.
Good.
Thanks, Kayla. Okay, so are we good to see all of this? Okay. Okay.
Yep.
Awesome.
So you should be good.
Okay, thank you. So we have with us 3 students in the College of Liberal Arts who happen to all be Chapel Executive Interns, which is a special program we have in the college that supports liberal arts students with one major in the college who are engaged in a business type internship. We have John and Ginny Chapel are friends of the college. Ginny is a graduate of liberal arts who have invested in liberal arts students being competitive in a corporate world, because sometimes it feels like we're not as top of the list, and they want to make sure we are. So they've given $2.5 million to help support this program. So upwards of 20 to 25 interns every summer are awarded this opportunity at $5,000. We're hoping to make some changes to the program. All of that information will always be in your newswire. I always tell students, newswire, Mondays, around 6 o'clock at night, all the information to the college, invest in reading your email. This is where you're missing money and you're missing internship and full-time job opportunities by not reading your email. So we definitely want to invest in that, and you're gonna have to do it anyway. Lauren and I walk down the hall, we get 6 more emails in our inbox, we have to deal with it, right? So I am gonna turn it over. So Kendall, I have you first on my list. Kendall is graduating next year, May 26th. She is going to obtain a BS in Health Policy Administration from the College of Health and Human Development, as well as a BA in Political Science here in the College of Liberal Arts. She interned as an administrative intern in OBGYN and pediatrics at Johns Hopkins Bayview Medical Center this past summer in Baltimore, Maryland. So we'll let you guys tell a little bit more, obviously, but I'll introduce you with the great information you gave me. Kayla, you're next on my list. Kayla is graduating in December of 25. What would we do without you running around the office? Her major is economics with a focus in the module money and banking. You are also getting a business law certificate.
This is another module.
Another module. Okay. And then the SNEAL Business Fundamentals certificate as well. She is interning currently with Merrick's as a risk management environmental brokerage intern, and has been there since this past May 24, and will be there this summer as well, right? In New York City. And Mikey Garza is with us. Patty was just talking highly of you in a meeting I was just in from your recent presentation with the Board of Trustees. That's fantastic. Mikey is graduating this May, hard to believe, with majors, degrees in sociology and criminology, and 2 minors in human development, family studies, and Latina studies. And interned with Wintrust Financial Corporation as a diversity and inclusion intern, and you've had multiple internships, and did that this past summer in Chicago, Illinois. So thank you all for being here. Yay, Chicago! So for all of the students here in the room and online, please ask questions as they pop up. This truly is a comfort zone for you to ask all the questions. If you're thinking about it, someone else is thinking about it, or Lauren and I have heard it, and we totally support it because it's tough. You know, we understand that it's a process. So to start off, how did you all find your internships, and why did you decide to do your internships? Let's start with that.
I can start. So I actually found my internship through my College of Human and Health Development, or Health and Human Development. And I decided to do it because I have a very big aspiration to become a medical attorney. And so I like to use my political science major and then my health policy and administration major. And I kind of put it together, and I got the opportunity to work as an administrative intern at Johns Hopkins Bayview Medical Center, where I also got to shadow hospital lawyers. And I thought it was a great opportunity, and that's why I chose it, because it was going to further help kind of solidify my, reasoning to why I want to become a medical attorney.
So I acquired my risk management internship for last summer through a soft networking experience. I was at the right place in the right time and met somebody who was kind enough to offer me a shadowing opportunity at his office. in New York City. During that shadowing opportunity, I met quite a few executives who were very, very kind in showing me what their day-to-day looked like during that day in the office. Through networking and utilizing the skills that I've learned through Career Enrichment Center and the College of Liberal Arts in general, I was able to build a really strong relationship with a lot of these executives throughout the year. So that when January came around of last year, I was able to reach out and say, hey, I don't have a job yet. Like, do you guys have any internship positions? And I was offered a risk management internship position under Stephen Hood, which is the chief risk officer of Merrick's Financial Services. I worked there through the entirety of the summer, and then because risk, you need a lot of certifications and licensings to do a lot of things that my team were responsible for. My manager was really encouraging of me sitting on the desks and teams of other people within Merrick's, as we offer a really large variety of financial services. A team that I sat with a lot and really, really enjoyed is the environmental brokerage desk. I never envisioned myself to be on a desk as a broker, nor in the sustainability field, but I instantly fell in love with it. I have an amazing role model, Jen, who is our head of renewable energy brokerage at Merex. It's really, really amazing to have a strong female role model in the financial field, especially for me. That was really important, and seeing her and the support system she has around her and just the desk in general and the market I fell in love with. So I started working with them in October, and I'll be returning full-time for them in January, and I'll work throughout the summer with them.
I found my internship via LinkedIn. I kind of like filtered out the most recent internships that were posted, along with doing different cities across the country. I didn't specify like one location. I had it open to everywhere, and so I had noticed that the diversity and inclusion intern for Wintrust had opened up, and I wanted to make sure I applied for it. Granted, my previous internship has been with Schreier Honors College, and I've also been doing some work with them as well, looking at student experiences and doing in-depth qualitative surveys and questionnaires with students and their experiences within the Schreier Honors College. In my internship at Wintrust, I was able to work with their employee resource groups. I also helped facilitate communications with their peer mentoring program, matching a younger professional with someone from either a VP or SVP level within the bank. And I also was able to provide fiscal recommendations for the fiscal year 2025 in terms of which partnerships the HR department's D&I team should invest more or scale back more from. So companies and entities such as like NAV of Chicago, Alpha of Chicago, Year Up, investing in sort of like these community-based entities that also provide opportunities for their workforce employment, seeing which ones provided the most return on investment to make sure that where Wintrust D&I team, diversity inclusion team, was putting their money was getting the most return and the most profit or engagement from, was something that I did. And then one of my bigger projects concluded with assessing the top 40 financial institutions of the country and seeing how to recruit higher diverse background senior executives into the senior suite. And so it was really interesting to see what senior diverse executives and predominantly white executives had what backgrounds in terms of education. A lot of them had come from like Kellogg, Northwestern School of Business Management, Columbia, NYU, Harvard, and seeing their education backgrounds and proposing these recommendations on how to recruit more diverse talent into the senior VPs and SVPs and senior executives, chief executives to Wintrust C-suite executives was really cool. And my boss, who was the senior vice president for diversity and inclusion, was really pleased to have her boss, her chief executive officer, be pleased with my findings. So it was really cool. I like the research aspect. I like the financial aspect as well. Seeing which investments had paid more in investment than what we had provided to. So that's what I did in my internship.
Fantastic. And online, if you, any questions online?
Not yet.
Okay. And are they hearing okay? Everybody online, okay?
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay, good. We heard 3 options in finding, right? Networking, your college resources, and LinkedIn as great resources in finding internships. What are all of you in the room or online using right now in your search for internship? Is anybody active? Yeah.
I mostly have been using LinkedIn, which sometimes it's hard because you see 100 people already clicked apply. And
Yes.
so that's kind of discouraging. And to the few and like interviews that I've gotten, it still haven't because like the amount of people who are on LinkedIn,
Right.
it still has been hard to find.
Absolutely. So for everyone online, LinkedIn seems to be a common resource, and we obviously share it in our work as coaches as a resource as well. But there's a lot of people looking for sometimes what feels like few opportunities. And that's where LinkedIn can be more of a resource in networking, right? And bringing in the aspect of connecting with your career office to see if we know anybody that works there, right? Or using LinkedIn to find a Penn State person there to get advice on the best way to apply, or the culture of the company, or just what other resources might be available in that location, right? Quality versus quantity in your applications, with the idea that you really do need to specialize your resume and your cover letter to what you're applying for, because you are potentially one of 100 of 1,000 applying to an internship. That added effort of connecting yourself to their qualifications, to the job posting, is going to result in better end goal, getting you closer to your goal than mass producing. If anyone comes in my office and says, I've applied to 200 internships and I haven't heard anything, nothing good about that is coming my way, right? That means that maybe something's up with your resume, you haven't taken the time to connect directly with that organization. Maybe we need to talk about networking more. And not everybody has a network, that feels strong in the area they're looking, but that's where Penn State comes into play, and we have multiple resources to help you with that. Yeah. Oh, perfect.
That kind of goes along with
Yeah.
that. So when you all were looking for internships, were you searching for one position in particular? Or were you looking at all of the different things that you could do within your field of study?
I will say I looked for everything. That was kind of in my direct focus, because if I focused all my time on one thing, it wasn't going to get me anywhere, especially if I want to go into law. A lot of like the law and legal internships, you have to be in law school. And so I'm honestly only looking for internships that get me the experience, because the experience is really important. Money's important too, but honestly, experience is really, really important, because it really does shape what you want to do in the future and kind of solidifies, if it's right for you or if it's not right for you.
We'll take one more and then we'll go ahead, Kayla, and then yeah, great.
Personally, I was actually looking for a company rather than a position. It was really important to me to find a company that aligned with my values and that provided a work environment where, as a woman in finance, I felt supported, and I felt that my career could, I could see myself as having a career within a company. The workplace environment and culture was really, really important to me, and I did find that difficult when I was specifically looking at positions. I didn't find myself being too comfortable or excited about the workplace culture or the values that company had. So I kind of switched my perspective, trying to look for a company that did align with those workplace cultures and values, and then ultimately just put myself into any position I could. Hence why I accepted a risk management position, even though, risk was interesting, but I knew that wasn't particularly what I wanted to aspire to in a career. I took it to provide me with other opportunities within Merrick's, which eventually did work out in my favor, but ultimately I was looking for a company that I felt that I could grow within.
Mikey, how many companies did you apply to on LinkedIn?
I applied for like more than, I think, 15 to around 30. I had one interview with a Bimbo bread company, a US corporation. However, within there, I made it to the second round of interviews, but then I never heard back even after I followed up, sent a follow-up email. So I kind of like pivoted it and used keywords such as like diversity intern, diversity inclusion intern, or just inclusion intern, using like keywords that are similar to what I wanted to do or what I was passionate about, kind of helped me find my internship with LinkedIn.
There's so many different titles. It's great advice just to say, read the description before you decide to walk away from it. You know, HR is using a lot of different terminology now. Finance might have different analyst type positions, and it might be very specific, right? So read the description before you move on. Yeah, great.
So what kind of like, and like what time did you guys like start looking for your internships? Like, did you do more early in the year? Cause I know that like STEM people, they look for internships and they have them kind of solidified by like November. So would you say that applies to like your guys' internship experience, or when did you guys kind of hear back, and how was the process for you guys?
I started looking the like late fall before that summer, and then I received my offer in January. So the hunt and application process for me started around October of the previous year before, a June, May start.
The fall of your third year, right?
Yes.
Yes. No,
It was my second year.
second year.
Yeah.
Okay.
For me, I was a sophomore last year. I think I started taking internships a little seriously in January. I found out about the Johns Hopkins internship in February, and I got the position in April. And that's all I did. So short time.
And I had started applying heavily at the end of November. Once midterms or once exams were up in December, I like streamlined all my like focus on internships and applying for internships. And I had applied for my internship, I think it was end of January, and I didn't hear back. Or after both rounds of interviews, I had gotten my acceptance offer that during spring break, so March.
It's a great question, and we have many conversations with liberal arts students, and my business friend has had their internship since, September, or my engineering friend, and it may be different for many of our industries. However, there is a strong presence of recruitment in the fall at Penn State. And it's always smart to be ready for that, to explore it, just in case something you're interested in is there. If you're looking into an internship that might have any type of security clearance, or some of our big consulting firms, they're recruiting in the fall, right? Because it's going to be a process throughout the year. So it's good to be aware of that. The Career Enrichment Network, we are here all summer long. We don't get a summer break. So we take virtual appointments all summer to get you ready for that fall. So it's something to think about this summer. If you're like, Katie, I need to focus on spring right now, and we can revisit in the summer. But there is a lot of just-in-time hiring for internships based on budgets, which might not be till January that they know. It might not be, we've got applications coming up right now in late February and March for this summer. It really depends on your timeline, but the bigger the company, the more clearances and engagement that's involved in, it tends to be in earlier fall. So have fall career days on your radar. Any SMEAL event for our economics majors, LHR majors, or anyone interested in those business type events, they're all open to you. You can walk into that business building and attend them, and they will welcome you. What else happens in fall? So many, everything happens in fall. In Mid-Elan Careers, if you go under events, that's where you can keep an eye on those. If you can see it, you can go to it. Information sessions or employer-based information sessions. In the month of September, there'll be 160 plus employer information sessions. Many of them are on campus. They come and they go real quick, right? Feels like everybody's in a blue suit with brown shoes in September. Those are great ways to be more than just an application, more than just 100 applications on LinkedIn. Generally, you get yourself on a list. If you attend their information sessions, if you go to PwC's yoga class, if you go to a pizza night, if you go to a picnic out on the SMEAL lawn, those are good things to keep an eye on. And again, be more than just the application. So various is my short answer. Great question.
We do have a question online. They said certain internships ask for experience, which is discouraging because that's why you're trying to get an internship in the first place, right? So what do you do if you don't have any experience? Like, what would be your suggestion if that was you, or if it wasn't you? Like, what would you suggest to your peers? So
I would highlight relevant skills or tasks that you've completed in college, such as, maybe a club that you're involved in, whether you hold a position within an organization on campus, and highlighting what you have learned from those experiences and how they can apply to the job that you're applying for. Because whether you've worked in a workplace setting or not, Penn State does provide you with a lot of opportunities as a student to gain experiences that you would learn the same things in the workplace. So I think highlighting those based off leadership positions that you have within Penn State and unaffiliated organizations is really important and probably your best way to put your best foot forward.
Yeah, going off what Kayla said, Penn State offers LinkedIn Learning.
Yes.
That's a really good way to get experience. I think they have all types of things like coding, Excel, Microsoft tools that you can use and put on your resume to showcase that you have, some expertise in what you're, going to be showcasing at the internship. So I recommend, going through LinkedIn Learning, finding a course to complete and adding that to your resume as a certificate that you have. It's a really good idea.
Both really good responses.
Yeah. If you
No,
don't have
yeah,
that's totally
Sure,
fine.
Maggie, absolutely,
Yeah.
yeah. No, and I think that's what we tell our first and second year students is to explore the clubs and orgs. As overwhelming as the activities fair is, find a club that meets your, a fun, release.
Mhm.
Find one that meets a major, find one that meets a career for you, and stop there, right? Quality versus quantity with clubs and orgs too. But that can be that relevant experience you're looking for, right? Because those of us that are first and second years, it's more difficult to find an internship because of that, but start compiling those experiences, TA, research assistant, study abroad, part-time work. Employers love someone in the service industry as a server, in retail, because you deal with the ugliest of people sometimes, right? And you're problem solving, and that's that number one skill on that list. So all of those can be helpful. Great question. Anyone else have a question in the room? I was thinking we could talk interviewing next. How did you guys prepare for your interviews?
I'll take this.
Yeah.
So I was really ecstatic to find out that I had made it to the second round of interviews for my internship, and I was preparing by meeting with several different people across the Penn State campus using career enrichment, and also talking to who I had in my corners. And then I had also researched who was going to be my interviewer and what could I talk about in my interview with them as well. So I had seen that my interviewer was someone from Northwestern. She had also studied sociology in her undergrad, and she was from California. She made a big move from California to Evanston, Chicago, Illinois. And so I kind of related to her in a little bit, talking about how we went from someone from our hometown to really far away from that. Just to prepare myself and make me stand out amongst other individuals, because finding similarities with who you're interviewing, whether it be across the room or via Zoom, is really good to help you stand out as well. And then utilizing, I think it's the STAR method, the situation, task, action or assessment, and the result. What was the a lot of times the interviewer will ask, tell us about the time you had a challenge, how did you overcome it? Or tell us how you had a group conflict and how you had to make a decision. They want to hear your thought process, and they want to hear how you can tell a story using the STAR method. And with the STAR method, it's a really clear, easy way to say, I had this issue, this was what was holding us back, this is what the assessment was, and this is what took action, and this is how we were able to overcome said challenge. Using the STAR method and being very familiar with that in an earlier way, and being able to pitch that STAR method in almost any interview questions, and set you up for success as well.
Going off what he said, organizational research is really important because, interviews can go any type of way. They can ask you any sort of question, and it's really important that you know what to say, even if you don't know what to say. So just having that organizational research, having your notes ready and prepared is really important. Also, the Bank of America Career Service Center, they offer mock interviews. That's what I utilized for my first internship last year. I met with, I forget what her name was, but I met with her. We connected on LinkedIn. We sat there, we talked over everything, and she really helped me prepare. Because that was my first internship. I've never really had a formal internship before or interview before. I felt very over prepared for my interview, and it was really great because my interview was really informal. I mean, it was conversation based. We talked about my resume, we talked about my classes, and I don't know, I would just say really don't take for granted what you do in your classes because it really does stand out with what your major is and what internship you apply for. Because I think my interview or asked me, what health ethics was, and I had taken a class on it, and I didn't realize how important that would be in my interview. So yeah, don't take for granted what courses you take because it can really come up in your interview. And again, mock interviews are really important as well.
I don't want to echo too much of what you guys said, but I had a similar experience. I'm also involved in a professional business fraternity here on campus, Delta Sigma Pi. I contacted a few older brothers who were in the financial industry working and graduated, asking them to help me with interview prep. The STAR method is golden. I personally use the STAR method with 2 R's and think the second R, which is reflection, is the most important, especially when talking about something where you're addressing conflict. Reflecting on it about what you learned during the situation is extremely, extremely important when telling a story. And using the STAR method, knowing who is going to be in your interview room is important as well. But sometimes you don't, and that's okay. Knowing the company in itself is just as important as knowing the interviewers and also having questions. When you ask questions, it is your opportunity to show your interviewer what you are particularly interested in the position or in the firm. My go-to interview question is, what does success look like in this role? It allows me the opportunity to ask them, hey, what exactly are you looking for? And then I can rebuttal and say to them, thank you so much for providing with that. I hope in the experiences that I've outlined today and in my resume, XYZ applies to these attributes that you just noted. And as well as I think it's important to showcase your personality during your interview. Of course, remain professional. But at the end of the day, if you're a robot and you're just spewing out information that is on a paper on the resume in front of them, the point of an interview is to get to know who you are as a person and how you can cohesively communicate your thoughts. So they're not only hiring you because of your experience, they're also going to hire you because they want to know who you are as a person. They want to know where you come from, what you do, what your values are, and it's important to make sure that you implement that into your answers or your interview in some sort of way.
They're gonna take our jobs. You guys are great.
I literally just was thinking that, I'm like, you could
Awesome.
teach the class that you teach, like.
Peer advisors, right? It didn't all go well, though, right? What was the communication like on post interviews, applying? Did you hear from everybody? So that's kind of good to know is you're not going to hear back from everyone. Unfortunately, it's not as kind as we would like it to be. And just knowing that it's closed, just tell me it's closed, right? Just tell me I'm off the table. Communication can be limited. So, and that can really decrease our motivation at times, but just to hear it happens to everyone too, that you might not hear back from everyone. It's good to follow up within a 2-week time. It's good to have a spreadsheet of all the places you're applying for, and keep note of when the date and the frame and checking back in. If you can, we also know that some of these places are very tight and not knowing who to contact at that point, right? So there will be some pluses and minuses, but thank you, that was great. You have a question, yeah?
So like when you're looking up information about like the recruiter, how do you kind of balance like that you didn't stalk them, but you still kind of want to get to know them? You know what I mean? Because like, is it okay to just be upfront like, oh, I saw you on LinkedIn, I saw that you went to Columbia? Is that okay, or does that come off as off-putting?
I'm gonna respond to this because I had a recruiter once tell me, Katie, you need to tell these students to stop stalking me. It was Liberty Mutual recruiter years ago, but they referred all the way back to a sorority or something, like very, like it went beyond professional. Like Mikey was saying, the idea of, maybe not necessarily knowing where they came from, but knowing how long they've been at the company or that they both had sociology. There can be real connections in that piece, and LinkedIn is an open book at this point. And the fact that they've given you their name beforehand speaks to you doing some organizational research, as Kendall said, so I think that's fine, but don't say, how's your brother, right? That would be bad.
There's a difference between searching on LinkedIn, attributes about someone at a company where you could say, hey, I need to find something in common so I can reach out to them for a networking opportunity
Yeah.
versus I need to find something in common with someone who's interviewing me. It's very different. So I would say that in depth of, maybe you are sisters or brothers in a sorority or fraternity is a connection that you can make in terms of reaching out to network, but in an interview or being like, I know everything about you, could come off as a little creepy and overwhelming.
But there's definitely, when we're interviewing, because we are also hiring managers as well, if someone doesn't know what we do or an awareness of a bit of the title they're applying for, it is reflected, right, quickly that they are mass interviewing right now or mass applying. So the organizational research is super important for you to know. I was in the height of a job search after graduation from grad school. And I remember walking into an interview thinking, I can't even remember the title of this position. I thought, this is a fail. This is a major fail. And I also will say, copy and paste your job description or your internship description, because it will disappear. And when you need it to do that research or you want to look at it one more time, you'll have it at that point. So learn from my mistakes. So great questions. Yeah. Anyone else have a question on mine?
Just to add on to what you mentioned right now, if you do any decks or like PowerPoints or presentations that you provide to like your manager or anything like that, make sure to like send it to you as well. Or like before you're ending your internship, ask them, oh, how can I better showcase the skills that I've learned from this company or from working here. And one of the key words that my former boss mentioned to me was that the phrase continuous improvement methodologies is like something that a lot of companies, whether it be from like a Big Four or something as like a boutique company, that having that framework or that phrase of continuous improvement, how to maximize profit or minimize inefficiencies, is really good to have. And if you can have that on your resume, it'll show employers that you know how to do work.
Great point. Absolutely. Know the trends of your language, the language of your industry too. Absolutely. How about the actual internship? Is there something that you wish you had done while you were there, or something you're really glad you did during your internship, and any other advice on site?
If there are any opportunities in which there's like an outing for you to meet other interns or to expand your network, sign up for it. If it's like something like a lottery where it's like you're just putting your hat in the ring, like do it, go for it. Because the more you do that, the more comfortable you will feel working at wherever it is you land your internship. But also you'll meet new people and let's say whenever you finish your internship and you'd like to go back to that company, you could reach out to them and see if they're hiring or if they know anyone who's hiring, and you can still hold on to that contact.
I would say I wish I wrote down more things. I mean, my internship was so fast paced that I forget a lot what happened because so much happened. So I really wish that, I could just write things down so I could remember what was going on and just have better, what's the word? Just have better organization, honestly, because it does go really fast and it was a very formal internship. And so I think just remembering everything, having a plan, or just being able to remember everything is really important. But my internship was amazing. I loved every part about it. I loved everybody that I met. I loved everything that I got to do. The mentors that I had, the doctors that I got to meet, the surgeries that I watched. I mean, it was all around such a great experience for me, and yeah, just cherish every moment of it because it does go by really fast. I mean, it's just the summer long, so yeah, just cherish everything, write things down, take pictures if you can, and just really cherish it because your internship could be amazing.
Never say no to anything, whether it's a luncheon, whether it's, hey, do you want to take a walk with me around the office and meet some people? Never say no to anything. And also ask for the opportunity to get introduced to other people within the company. Like I said before, my manager was really encouraging of me meeting as many people in the company in different departments and teams as possible. And I will forever be grateful for that. I was able to sit on the desk of Cynthia Ginsburg, who's the head of metals at Merrick Services, head of agriculture sales, brokerage and clearing services, almost anything you could possibly think of in the financial services world. And it was an amazing experience. I think the number one thing that I learned in my experience is us being young and finding internships and getting our first few experiences, you're going to find more of what you don't like rather than what you do. And it's more about crossing things off the list than it is about putting things on. And you will not do that if you do not expose yourself to as much as possible. And you never know if you don't like something unless you try it. But it's easier to find something you don't like than it is to find something you do. And that's an okay approach. And for me and for the peers that I've spoken to within Merrick's and the other interns and friends and brothers of mine in Delta Sigma Pi, it is way easier to find things you don't like than it is that you do. And that's okay. And that's usually how it goes in at least my industry and corporate business.
I will also say ask questions.
Yeah.
You don't know everything. You're not an expertise in whatever field that you're in. So please ask questions because they're there to help you, mentor you, teach you, and help you like further in the process. So ask questions. It's really important.
And that shows initiative, right? And engagement. So even if it's not as fantastic as all of you experience you've had, which I'm so grateful you've had, make the best out of it and get your work done and make great connections and then find other things, right? We have a student that shared he did an international internship through a third-party provider at Penn State, and it wasn't great. But he reached, and it was in Japan, but he reached out and found an alum in Japan and shadowed them in their consulting firm and just made more happen because how often are you in Japan, right? So you definitely control your future in those situations and want to highlight the best you can. And that's a great perspective, Kayla, that you're more likely to not like things because I think we're hearing a lot from students right now. I don't know what I want. I don't know what I like. I've never experienced it. Well, you have to experience it to figure it out. Any advice on navigating, and I know we're at almost at time, 3 minutes. Navigating the actual on-site, the moving, the being prepared day one, food, all that good stuff, that can give some advice out.
I don't know. I mean, I loved my office. It was very casual. Everyone was really, really nice. It was a little bit intimidating because I was one of 2 women, including myself and my boss, who was on our floor of 70 people. So that was definitely an interesting environment to navigate at first, and it was quite intimidating. But it took me very quickly by just putting myself out there and saying hello to people's desks who I walk by, that it's not as intimidating as I thought it would be, and that everyone is really there to help you. Everybody was in your shoes at one point. So no matter how intimidated you might feel walking into that office the first day and maybe thinking like, what am I doing here? You were asked to be there and you were given this position for a reason, and everybody was in your shoes at one point. So ask the questions, say hello to everybody that you can, make the environment yours, because at the end of the day, you were offered a position. You were asked to be there just as everybody else was.
I would say I had to relocate to Baltimore for my internship. I live in Northern Virginia, so it was maybe like an hour and 45 minutes away from where I currently live. I moved in a couple days earlier. I did the route by myself. I traveled to work, saw where I was gonna park, saw what the campus looked like. And I just didn't panic. Like she said, you're there for a reason. You were asked to be there. They, brought you on for a reason. So just don't panic. You did your organizational research at this point. You are under the impression that you know what the internship will be. Just don't panic because, it's only day one. It's going to go fine. You're going to enjoy it. And yeah, it's going to be smooth sailing. Just don't panic.
And to add on to that, if you're relocating, make sure to get like lots of sleep, know the way around like town of where you're going to be traveling to, or if explore where you're going to be working, or explore another neighborhood that's not where you're at, so you can be more comfortable and find some solace in where you'll be, and then also make a budget for your living expenses. You don't want to go out, eat out every day. If you're on your own, learn how to cook or meal prep or anything like that, that helped me this summer because I've made my meals 3 meals a day. And just get comfortable with sticking to that budget.
I had a little bit of a different experience with that. I was commuting to New York City from New Jersey, so I had about a 2.5 hour door-to-door commute every day.
Oh my gosh.
So, yeah. So it was in the morning and at night. So I would leave my house at 5:30 in the morning. I would get to my office at 8, and I would catch a 4:30 boat back home. So I was out of my house from essentially 5:30 in the morning, and I really wouldn't get back to like 7:30, 8, depending on the traffic at the dock when I ported back in New Jersey. It was expensive, which is where chapel executive internship really, really helped me. I also, because of that, didn't have the opportunity to pack lunch because I don't pick food sitting out more than a half hour, then I don't like to eat it. So maybe that's my own doing. So I did have to, budget myself in terms of like where I was getting lunch and making sure that I was eating healthy too, because it's easy if you are doing takeout because you're commuting to get, a burger, or being in New York, slice of pizza every day, but to make sure that you're, maybe getting a salad and healthier options, fueling your body for that long day, and meal prepping at home, because sometimes I would get home after dinner, or my parents were working late and there wasn't food for me when I got home and I just wanted to eat and go to bed at that point. Making sure that I meal prep on the weekends for, my mornings, get up, grab something to go, eat it on drive there, on the boat to work, and then having something for me when I got home is really important too. So no matter if you're commuting or you're relocating, it is important to fuel your body. It's going to be a different experience than, going to class for 2 to 3 hours a day like we do here at Penn State, having breaks in between. So you have to make sure that you're properly fueling your mind and your body.
Absolutely. Well, I know we're at time. Did you have?
Can you just talk a little bit
Yeah.
about funding and
Yes.
supporting like monetarily
Yes,
internships?
Absolutely, I sure can. So the College of Liberal Arts has something called enrichment funds. You'll see it in the newswire. Spring applications are currently open and closed this Friday. So if you had any spring experiences, you have to have one major in the College of Liberal Arts to qualify, a 2.0 GPA specifically for all funds. Any paternal fellows, this is the same application process. They're required to have an internship and or a study abroad, so there's additional funding for them, but you apply through the same system. We review upwards of 500 applications a year. We award upwards of over $500,000 every year to help support specifically internships, study abroad, and research applications. Research is reviewed in a different office, but still the same system. So generally, we're looking at funding, somewhere between 200 to obviously 5,000 is specific to the Chapel Executive Internship Program, but upwards of maybe 1,000 different numbers for Paterno Fellows. And we won't get into the weeds to it today, but those career coaching appointments, you can make one specifically with me to navigate what that funding might look like before accepting, considered before accepting. In order to apply for funding, you have to be accepted into the program and are going to do it. In that we pull your Lion Path information in. It's not need-based, although we consider that. So anyone can come apply regardless of financial need. You will tell us a brief bio. You'll tell us where you're going. You'll tell us how many hours you're working, what you're getting paid. You will give us why this is important to your career. These are all very short essays because I have to read all of these. There's always a financial optional question to share anything additional you'd like us to know when reviewing your application. You'll do a budget. As Mikey said, it's focused on food, transportation, housing, and other. You'll request what you think you need or what you'd like. And then upload your resume and an acceptance letter to that internship or screenshot of your ed abroad acceptance if it's study abroad. And we'll review within 2 to 3 weeks. The money is allocated to your Bursar account. So whatever's going on there is where it goes first. So if your bill for your study abroad there, most likely will help to pay that off. If you have a $100 fine at the library, we're going to pay that before the money gets, however, hopefully you have direct refunds set up and that will go to your checking account. Summer will open March 17th of this year and be open until May 30th. But the Chapel Executive Internship Program, the deadline is April 18th. If you apply for the chapel for your experience and don't get it, we will still consider you for funding. You won't have to apply again. What I miss?
That was all good.
Okay.
I put the links in the
Oh,
chat.
thank you
too.
so
Yeah.
much. The link for everyone in the room is on the Career Enrichment Network's website. It'll say funding. Enrichment funding is not scholarship, right? Scholarships are tuition-based monies. Enrichment funding is for these out of classroom experiences. All right, well, thank you all for coming. I see we're slowly dwindling online with the numbers, but I appreciate everyone staying on for a little bit longer. And please use the resources in the Career Enrichment Network or whatever college you're a member of. If you have multiple majors, there's an office like ours in many of the colleges. It's a great starting point. I keep saying, let us be a part of your resource portfolio like your academic advisor is. So whether it's meeting with us once a year or once a semester, just to help the process, or we meet with you every other week for a month because we're writing personal statements. We've read a lot of those, or your cover letters or your internships and helping your search. So, okay. Thank you. It was nice to meet you all. And thank you. Best piano ever. All right. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Do you know if they're accepting applications for you from last year?
They are. I can send you them.
Excuse me still. So, I mean, with you, but I heard you guys also accept walk-ins.
Wednesdays walk-ins 1 to 4, but those are like real short appointments, like